sombra de un mezquite, aquel hombre se encontraba.
Welcome to the MrBoxingguru podcast. Yamero se me pasaba. I almost didn't do a podcast this week, but you know what? I just got done watching some fights. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and get started. Once again, thank you guys so much for listening. That music that you just heard on that intro was from Los Anaya. So make sure you guys listen to them on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever good music is heard. Again, it's a little late in the week. My intentions are always to do a podcast for you guys as quickly as possible, as early as possible in the week. They're always supposed to be done on Sunday, but then I say, you know what? Let's see what other story the week has to give us. Of course, everybody's still writing an Andy Reid's story. It's a feel-good story. It's a story that everybody continues to want to talk to. We just saw Andy Reid give a tour around Mexico City, I guess you could say. A lot of clingers in that. But feel-good story nonetheless. Again, in my opinion, could have happened to a nicer guy. People are surprised on how charismatic Andy Reid is. Seems like a great guy all around. And again, I'm really glad that he's enjoying the moment. I mean, it's definitely something special for him. But let's get started. Let's talk about a little about what happened this weekend, which was Gennady Golovkin's back at Madison Square Garden, and of course live on DAZN, the app of apps when it comes to boxing. GGG rolled up on Rose and got rid of him. Ended up knocking him out in the fourth round. Rose, which was maybe not even a top 30, top 40 fighter, did what he was supposed to do, which was lay down for Golovkin. Like no one, I guess, realized that okay, you know, this guy's gonna go ahead and beat Golovkin. That's not what guys like Rose do. But then again, that's not what guys like Andy Reid do either. They don't beat guys like Anthony Joshua. And that's exactly what happened the week before. So I guess it kind of got people pumped up, and that's the beauty about boxing. Again, it's always so predictable. You know who's gonna win. So people don't end up having love for the sport. They end up having love for a fighter. I think going back to Andy Reid, it made people love or be entertained by the sport a little more. With Golovkin, on the other hand, look, man, I think everybody knows I'm as big of a fanboy of Golovkin as anybody else. But some of that spunk, it's almost being lost in translation. I think some of the work that in my opinion, Tom Loeffler, which was a genius when it came to marketing Golovkin, you know, he knew who the audience was. He knows there was an audience that he could capitalize on, and in a way, he you know, pushed him on the Mexicans, and I think, you know, everybody embraced him. Now, unfortunately, not so much. Yes, he went back to the Madison Square Garden. Yes. I don't know if the interviews are getting lost in translation or what's really going on, because the headlines are always a bit unorthodox, I guess you could say. Here, you know, we continue with almost like backlashes or back talk against Golovkin's old trainer and Sanchez, and I don't know, man. I don't know, something about him calling him that he's not Mexican and whatnot. Again, he's practically being that. He's the villain in the whole movie now. He's not. It almost seems like he's not being liked as much as Golovkin usually is, and I think ticket sales were a good proof of that. I'm interested to see how Golovkin does versus a formidable opponent here back in the West Coast. I don't think those fights that he was fighting, like the Wades or whatnot, the William Monroes are are formidable opponents anymore. Especially, I get it. He got the rolls out of the way. Now he's got to go back and go to fight tough fights. We can't get any more gimme, and we can't codepend on Canelo. Look, Canelo's now the same way as Floyd was maybe about a decade ago, where everybody wanted to fight him, whether you thought you could beat him or not, but you wanted to fight him. In my opinion, Golovkin didn't depend on Canelo to build himself into the superstar he is. He shouldn't depend on Canelo anymore. If the fight happens, good, so be it. I'm not against the fight. I'm not going to be here and say, you know what, I don't want to see the third fight. Absolutely, I want to see it. I think, give me a scenario where there's another pair of middleweights that could attract that much commotion, that could give me a fight. I think with both of the fights, Canelo GGG 1 and Canelo GGG 2, we saw it was a high intensity fight. It was a fun fight. It was a high skilled fight, and it made you want to watch it again. So I don't mind watching it again. Again, if there's other fights that are out there for them, good. I really hope they take them before they fight again. But they were both two close fights that make me want to see both of these guys. Now, who would you want to see him with? I mean, look, honestly, Andre, I don't want to see Andre, versus, I don't know, anybody. He doesn't have a pleasant style. I get it. That's what Golovkin should do, because it seems like the toughest opponent out there besides Jacobs was for Canelo. Maybe that's the route he should take. Then they should meet again in May. At least that's my opinion. But I mean, other than that, I don't know what other two middleweights I would rather see. So what is next for Golovkin? I don't know. I think the only thing is to go get a boo-boo fight with Boo-Boo, Andre. But other than that, that's it. There was another fight actually in Reno, Nevada. That's actually a little weird, isn't it? A fight in Reno, Nevada. I mean, I get it. You got casinos and whatnot, but what the fuck is there to do in Reno, Nevada? Shout out to my man Cosme, that I think is the only one that I know that lives in Reno, Nevada. But Oscar Valdez fought Jason Sanchez, and of course, beat him to unanimous decision. Sanchez was a very young kid. I don't think he's ever fought past 10 rounds or even gotten to the 8th round. But the fact of the matter is that he was again, decent fight. Again, this is all comeback fights for Valdez. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They start saying, "Oh, but he's a champion. He's this." Really, fucking belts. Do fucking belts really matter now? I personally don't care if Valdez has a belt or not. He's must watch TV. Do I want to see him versus the Framptons of the world? Of course, but I think psychologically there's still a lot to fix there. The work that Reynoso's doing with him definitely seems like it's on its way to good, but just not there yet. I like what I'm seeing from Golovkin. I mean, I'm sorry for Golovkin. I'm still talking about Golovkin here. From Oscar Valdez. He's giving you angles. He's giving you different moves. And he's trying to create different traps that he wouldn't before. What you got from Oscar Valdez before was straight brute force. He fought a lot with his heart. He was trying to get you out of there, regardless if he was a stronger man or not. But he was very imposing. He's changing that a bit, and I get it. He's being a bit more intelligent in the way he fights. Not every fighter is fit to fight like that, and if you fight the way that Valdez was fighting, or sort of like the way Andy Ruiz fights, again, they all come from the same camp. The careers seem to shorten up a bit, so I get the move that Frank Espinosa and Frank Espinosa Jr. did by taking him out of Manny Robles, but I don't know. I don't know what's really going to happen with Valdez yet. Is he ready to go in there and fight the monsters of the 126-pound division, or do we start rebuilding him again at 130 pounds? Lot of information to find out from Valdez, but as far as what I saw on Saturday, this past Saturday, it was good. I liked it. Again, it was in my opinion almost like a glorified sparring session. Not because they didn't give it their all, but because they're still working on certain kinks in there. So good for Valdez. That jaw seems to be holding up. Again, I want to see him At the end of the day, have a long, prosperous career, and move to at 130. That's a move that I'm really looking forward to. Other than that, those were the big fights that actually happened over the weekend. Of course, we did hear a story about the Mexican kid that ended up in the hospital. I think he's in a induced coma. We saw Zab Judah again fighting. Why is Zab Judah even fighting? I think he ended up getting his brain was bleeding, something like that. Something again, I'm not really sure what were the particulars there, but it's kind of crazy if you really think about it. I mean, again, Zab Judah's still fighting at this age. Look, it looks like he made a lot of money throughout his career. He should have been able to put a lot of that away. But for him to still be fighting at this age, I mean, that's one. It's kind of sad, and that shows you at the same time with life. Save your money, man. Look, Zab Judah's a prime example. He fought. I mean, he fought everybody that you could imagine. Again, some of the fastest, most vicious hands that came out of New York. So he was a special fighter, and again made a lot of money. But throwing it away, spending it away doesn't really last. And let this serve as an example for all of us, man. That go a little buck, go to the club, got to buy bottles and whatnot. Now, I'm not saying don't do it because we all should do it. I mean, we all got to live a life. But don't do it every weekend, man. I mean, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting your family. Put that money away, man. Let's skip tacos every once in a while, and and skip the blue labels. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I just saw a fight, and it was Thursday night fights from Golden Boy. I think some of you guys saw it. I think Cines Estrada won. There was a couple other fighters that won. One fighter that I thought, in my opinion, was going to be in for a good scrap, but a scrap that he could win is fighter Chimpa Gonzalez. I've been following Chimpa's career since pretty much he signed with Golden Boy, and he's a good kid. And kind of going back to the Zab Judah thing, I would hate for something like, and I hate to be that guy that brings it up, but I would hate to see something like that happen to a guy like Chimpa at this stage of his career. Look, it looks like, again, great young man, but it doesn't look like there's any improvement there anymore. And the sport, unfortunately, is made for... It's not kind to, I'm not going to say laziness, but if you just don't have it, you just don't have it. And when you don't have it and you're putting your life in danger, sometimes it's bad things could happen. Again, sort of like what happened to Zab Judah. So I really hope a kid like Chimpa does something with his career that doesn't involve boxing. Because, I mean, it's not like you can say, oh, the kid, I get it. He's been, fighting since he was a kid, maybe 10, 11 years old. I can't remember. I interviewed him a couple of times, but I honestly cannot remember. But it's not like he doesn't have the capabilities of doing something else. I think he has a brother that's a police officer. He has the physical abilities to be, maybe a firefighter, a cop like his brother, something else. Boxing is not the only thing you can do. It's not the only thing that's out there. I know it's got to be scary for the kid, but there's other stuff in life you could do other than boxing. Even if you want to go hold mitts for the kid somewhere, but I really hope he stops boxing. I mean, it seems like he has a beautiful family and whatnot, and I really hope he just sits back and enjoys that family. Goes and starts a trade, because I don't think he's over 25 years old, so he's very young where he could pick up some sort of trade. Maybe if he wants to go back to school, again, that's fine. But boxing is not for him, and that's not knocking on him, because look, man, it takes a tough son of a bitch to go in the ring and put in the work. But again, it's just not for all of us, man. I really hope he goes on and does something else with his life. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for the week. Like I said, I didn't want to skip on a show, and I wanted to go out there and say hi to everyone. Of course, but I asked, because I was supposed to do the show last Monday, and I never got to do it. But I, like always, I sit back and ask everybody, any type of questions that you guys might have. I'll be more than happy to answer them for anyone. I think you guys did, so I'm gonna go back and see what those questions were. See if anybody had anything. I did kind of put an awkward picture of Clarissa Shields and Golovkin, so I think more people kind of focus on the picture than not. A guy named at Magallanes _1983 says, how fast do you think Oscar Valdez adapts to 130 pounds? I understand there's nothing else for him to do at this current weight. To me personally, I hope he takes his time and not rush any of the top contenders at lightweight. Magallanes, you're absolutely right. I really hope he does move up to 130 pounds. As far as your question, what is there to do at 126? There's plenty to do at 126. Is he way over his head? I think so. Valdez, in my opinion, is a young veteran, and you have kids that are with Top Rank that are I think number one, number two in the rankings for Oscar Valdez's belt, and I think those, for example, I think Shakur and Oscar Valdez is a fight that's great for Shakur, but not so great for Oscar Valdez. I don't want to see that fight. I don't want to see Valdez, especially knowing that he came back from that injury. Nah, I'm good. Let's just hope he goes to 130 pounds, in my opinion, because if he sits there and tries to defend his belt, it's not going to end the best for him. Other than that, let's see. I think Luke Asada05, that's Artie's wife, asked, what do you think about GGG's performance? In your opinion, did he look the same as always? As far as, that's a very good question, Lou. As far as him looking like always, yes, absolutely. I think it's the same Golovkin. You can't ask Golovkin to change too much in a couple of weeks. And not only change, look, what he did with his old trainer, it was very basic. It's yes, there was the cliche of calling him Mexican style, but fought like any other fighter. He didn't go down as much as I would like to the body with Sanchez. But nonetheless, he was a great fighter. He worked on what he had and capitalized on what he had, which was his brute force. Now that he is with his new trainer, and of course we know his new trainer comes from the school of Emmanuel Stewart from the Crunk Gym. He's working on a couple other things. I see that he's working on not admiring his punches, I guess you could say, as much as he once did. Because look, when you have that's the thing. When you have that type of razor that Golovkin has, you tend to go and admire your work. It's like anything else. You do something, you got to sit back and say, I'm a fucking badass, man. And that's what Golovkin would do with his power. He would hit you and he would just look at you and just say, yeah, I just did that. And I think that Jonathan Banks, again, Golovkin's new trainer, noticed that about Golovkin. He knows that he likes to throw maybe 2 punches at a time. But when you fight a guy like Canelo, he's going to be able to take some of those punches off. I mean, Canelo, could take maybe 1, 2, 3 maybe punches off of him at a time, but maybe not the 4th, maybe not the 5th, maybe not the 6th. So, in my opinion, or at least from what I was able to somehow see, it looks like Jonathan Banks wants to turn him into a volume puncher, a guy that that finishes combinations, just not admires exactly what he tried to work. And I think that's what happened with Canelo, that he would throw 1 punch, boom, boom, and Canelo would be out of there. Again, same thing. He would get near Canelo, throw 2 punches, and Canelo would be out of there. So it was never like a full 4 or 5 punch combination. I get it. That's risking it because that leaves room for you to get punched in the face. But when you're fighting elite type of fighters, you do need to spread your wings a little more. Other than that, let's see who else. Let's see. I think that was pretty much it. I think everybody was enamored with the picture that I posted that day. But other than that, again, that's that's all I have for this week. I will try to do a podcast as early as, Monday, maybe Tuesday, maybe even Monday at 7 o'clock. With that said, again, thanks you guys for listening. Again, I know this was a short one, but I bet it was a sweet one. Thanks you guys for listening to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. This is Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Hasta luego, cabrones.
Pueden matarme, que yo ya vengué a mis viejos. Dicen que lo fusilaron, otros que se fue muy lejos.